And what do you get when you cross an agnostic, an insomniac, and a dyslexic?
Man lies awake at night, wondering if there is really a dog.
That's it.
What?
Man that lies awake at night, wondering if there's really a dog.
I like that. That was good.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So, this is just real quick. If you'd like to turn to it, it's Proverbs 28:1. It's I'll probably get it said before you get there, but the wicked righteous are as bold as a lion.
Woo! Hey, what's up?
Say that, reference?
Proverbs 28:1.
Yeah, 28:1. So, basically, this weekend I started going through 1st and 2nd Samuel. I wanted to trace the footsteps of David according to the Bible, and it was really cool. I've been through it before, but I did it early in the morning, so I was like tired, so I just didn't get everything out of it. And this was it was so awesome. I really want to pick it up. Got a lot to cover. All right. So he was selected as a king by Samuel. Samuel was the last honest judge of Israel. He's the son of Jesse. He was a sheep herder from the tribe of Benjamin. He was the youngest brother, as I said before. So this guy was from the smallest child from a family. He was one of the lowest members in the family. He was tending sheep when Samuel came and was called to come and get him. So during this time, before him, Samuel had anointed a guy named Saul as king. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest choice in the world. Samuel himself was confirmed by declaring the fall of Eli. Eli had wicked sons, and that led to Samuel becoming the last honest judge. So the Lord rejected Saul, and then that led to Samuel finding and anointing David. And David was blessed. I mean, everything he did, he was successful. I want to be David. Seriously, I'm going to go home tonight and pray. Thank you, David. God was awesome. Like, if I can get anywhere close to the things that this man achieved for God, I'd be a happy man in my deathbed. So Saul was tormented by God, and David happened to be selected to play the harp for him. Calm down, to the mountain, whatever works. So Saul liked the way David played so much that he made him his armor bearer. And he was around Saul a lot. Saul was tormented by God again. Saul played the harp to soothe him. One day, the Israelites were lining up against the Philistines. You all heard some part of this story. And little David runs out to bring some bread and dates or whatever to his brothers who happen to be fighting. And it was like the 40th day that this giant named Goliath has stepped out and just insulted the entire Israelite army. He has just besieged all the ranks. This guy was 9 foot 9 inches tall. Okay, I could stand on this stool, and I'm not sure I would make it. Okay, I'm not going to do it because I'm not that coordinated. This guy wore 125 pounds of armor. That's most of me. And David killed him with a sling and a stone. One shot. This guy had been defying an entire Israelite army for 40 days. This little kid steps out, didn't even wear armor because none of it fit him right. He took a sling, let it fly, and nailed this guy in the head, and it sunk into his head. He killed him, and he went over. He didn't even have a sword. He grabbed Goliath's sword and had his head off.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. All right. this led to the defeat of the Philistines. I mean, they saw this and they're going, I mean, they're having some, yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. So, Saul's son Jonathan became very loyal to David. And they developed a bond, and this gave David a great ally, especially down the road. So all this attention to David resulted in Saul's jealousy. They were singing the song, Saul has killed thousands, but David has killed tens of thousands. And Saul decided he would try to trip David up. He offered his daughter, Michal, as a wife to leverage David to go fight the Philistines and die. I mean, he wanted to put him in danger's way. And to do that, he said, bring me 100 Philistine foreskins. Surely a little kid like that, he's going to go out and he's just going to get slaughtered. Came back with 200. Okay. God was with David and he was successful in everything. It enraged Saul because Saul had favor in the Lord and he lost it to David. So Saul was plotting and talking to Jonathan about killing David, and of course Jonathan's sticking up for him. And he warned David. David ended up being saved by his wife escaping, Michal. Oh, I figure he does it all the time. He's good at this. Alright. So David raised an army of over 400 destitute men, just people who were kind of outcasts. And they went and they followed David. First he went out to Nob, and because somebody saw him there, I mean, nobody knew that Saul wanted to kill him. He wanted to had David's name on his list. And he said, oh, cool, it's David. But he went to Nob, the city of the priests, and Saul killed all of the priests because none of them stopped David. None of them said anything. At this time, David's army had grown to 600 men. And the Philistines were raiding the grain houses at Keilah. So David asked the Lord twice, should he intervene? He asked the Lord. Every time he comes to a turning point, to a point where he's got to make a decision, he asks the Lord. He gets his ephod, and he asks the Lord. And the Lord said, yes, you will win that battle. And David goes and saves Keilah. Saul hears about this and he starts heading to Keilah. And David asks God again, are they going to betray me to Saul? God says, yes. David says, all right, I'm out. And he takes off. And he goes out into the wilderness. During Saul's pursuit of David through the wilderness, David's saved by a Philistine raid. And that demanded Saul's attention, so he says, all right, gotta let this guy go and go get the darn Philistines. So when Saul returned to his pursuit of David, he wandered into one of the sheep caves that David was hiding in. And David's men were all there, and we got 400, or well, that's probably 50 guys in sheep here. I'm not sure how the square foot of that bad boy is, but anyway, there's enough of them to take out one guy. And David says, no, Saul is God's anointed one. He's got the kingship standing in front of him. Says, no, this wouldn't be right by God. I won't do it. And he cuts the corner of his robe off. And as Saul leaves, he holds the corner up and says, Saul, I will not betray the Lord's anointed one. And Saul apologizes and weeps, and he goes back home. But Saul still continued to threaten David, even after proclaiming the Lord had anointed him as king, and David was what the Lord wanted. He still hated David. But David kept his faith in God to strike Saul down, and he didn't take vengeance himself. He had the opportunity twice. Another time he took a water jug and another knickknack that was sitting right by Saul's head. And Saul was surrounded by his army of men, but the Lord put them into a deep sleep. So he and the armor bearer walked in, picked these up and left, and then yelled down to him. And Saul wept and he left. But he continued pursuing them after that. After this, David stayed with the Philistines, of all people. He stayed there for a year and 4 months. And he was given the town of Ziklag. During this time, David would raid towns of Egypt and Shur, and he would tell the Philistines that it was from Judah or from one of the Israelite territories. Before a great battle with the Israelites, the Philistines rejected him. Probably a good idea. When they returned, they found that Ziklag had been burned down, and all of their families were still. They didn't find any dead there. They knew that all their families had been kidnapped. But before pursuing people that he knew had his army's families, he says, "God, do they have our families? Can we go and get them?" God says, "Yes, go and get them." They go and get them. They have them, of course. Surprise, God said so. At this point, Saul and Jonathan are slain in battle. Saul falls on his own sword, and Jonathan dies in action.